Today, we delve into another epic Bible story from the book of Judges to discover how the bravery of two women delivered Israel from the oppression of a monstrous leader. These are the Bible stories of Deborah and Jael. Deborah, a prophetess of Israel known for her wisdom and strong faith, felt a deep ache in her heart. For 20 long years, her people had suffered under the harsh rule of King Jabin of Canaan. His army, with iron chariots, spread fear throughout the land. Raids were endless, crops were stolen, homes destroyed, and the spirit of Israel was being crushed. As despair grew, Deborah sought comfort in the only place she could find it, God. God spoke to her with a clear message. She would lead Israel to freedom. The weight of this calling stirred a storm of feelings inside her. How could she, a woman without military experience, stand against such a powerful enemy? Sisera, the cruel commander of King Jabin's army, was famous for his brutality and clever strategies. Leading 900 iron chariots, he was a force that had crushed many foes. Just thinking of facing him sent a chill down her spine, but Deborah refused to be frozen by fear. Determined to obey God's command, Deborah knew she needed a strong leader to face Sisera's mighty army. The Lord instructed her to summon Barak, a skilled commander from the tribe of Naphtali. When Barak arrived, Deborah met him under the palm tree. "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you," she said. "Gather 10,000 men from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun. Lead them up to Mount Tabor. God will lure Sisera, the commander of King Jabin's army, to the Kishon River. There, he will give him into your hands." Barak listened intently, his brow furrowed. He was a brave warrior, but he knew well the strength of Sisera's forces. After a moment of thought, he replied, "If you go with me, I will go." Deborah understood his hesitation. Her presence symbolized God's guidance and inspired confidence. She nodded and said, "Very well, I will go with you. But because of the path you are taking, the honor will not be yours. The Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman." With their decision made, they began preparations. Messengers were sent throughout the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun. The call to arms echoed in villages and towns. Men left their fields and workshops, gathering their weapons and saying farewell to their families. Slowly, an army of 10,000 warriors assembled, ready to fight for their freedom. Meanwhile, news of their gathering reached Sisera. Confident in his superiority, he mobilized his entire force. 900 iron chariots rolled out, their metal gleaming in the sun. Soldiers marched in tight formations, ready to crush the rebellion. The stage was set for a decisive battle. Deborah stood alongside Barak on the slopes of Mount Tabor, looking over the vast plain where Sisera's army approached. The sight was intimidating, but Deborah felt a steady calm. She turned to Barak and said, "This is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Has not the Lord gone ahead of you?" With a fierce shout, Barak led his men down the mountain. The clash that followed would test their courage and faith like never before. As the battle unfolded, Sisera watched in disbelief as his once invincible army fell apart. The Lord had thrown his troops into confusion, and Barak's warriors were pressing hard. Realizing that defeat was certain, Sisera's courage turned to fear. He jumped from his chariot and fled on foot, disappearing into the rugged landscape. Breathing heavily, he made his way toward the area where the tents of the Kenites stood. He came upon the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Her people were on peaceful terms with both King Jabin and the Israelites, making this place seem like a safe refuge. Jael stepped out to meet him. "Come in, my lord," she said gently. "Don't be afraid." Grateful and exhausted, Sisera entered her tent. He collapsed inside, worn out from the battle and his escape. "Please, give me some water," he pleaded. "I'm thirsty." Jael nodded and opened a skin of milk, offering it to him. The cool drink soothed his dry throat. She covered him with a blanket, providing a sense of safety. "Stand at the entrance of the tent," he instructed. "If anyone comes and asks, 'Is anyone here?' say no." Jael agreed, but as Sisera drifted into a deep sleep, her mind was racing. She knew who this man was, the feared commander who had brought misery to Israel for years. Keeping him hidden could bring danger to her and her people and make her an enemy of Barak and the triumphing Israelites. Resolute, Jael saw an opportunity to end his tyranny. Quietly, she picked up a tent peg and a hammer, tools she was familiar with from daily life. With steady hands, she approached the sleeping Sisera. In one swift move, she drove the peg through his temple and into the ground. Sisera died instantly, and his reign of terror was over. Not long after, Barak came by in pursuit of Sisera. Jael went out to meet him. "Come," she said, "I will show you the man you're looking for." Inside her tent, Barak saw Sisera lying dead, the tent peg still in place. As the news spread of Sisera being defeated, King Jabin realized that his forces could no longer stand against the Israelites. Fear gripped his heart, and he understood that his reign was coming to an end. Without the might of his iron chariots and ruthless commander, his army was shattered. King Jabin fled the battlefield, his authority broken. The Israelites, inspired by Deborah's leadership and strengthened by their faith, pressed their advantage. With Jabin's retreat and the courage and actions of Deborah, Barak, and Jael, Israel was free again after 20 years of oppression. Peace returned to the land, and the people celebrated Deborah, who continued to serve as a judge and prophetess. However, peace did not last forever. After 40 years of peace, the Israelites slipped into idolatry, worshipping Baal. Consequently, the Lord abandoned them, leaving them to the hands of a new oppressor, the Midianites. Once again, the Israelites faced hardship and fear, their spirits sinking under the weight of oppression. But God had not forgotten his people. He called upon another leader to rise, Gideon. Chosen to deliver Israel from this new threat, Gideon had only 300 warriors at his side. How could so few stand against so many? To discover how Gideon overcame overwhelming odds, watch the next video of this epic Bible story.